Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for coming back to astrology classes. So we're ready for lesson 33, the transits of Pluto. Ooh, Pluto, spooky. Hades, the underworld. All right, so Pluto is our furthest planet way out there, and some of the astronomers have even turned it down to a plantlet. I don't know what a mini planet's called. I forget. Anyway, but astrologers are pretty much keeping Pluto on board as a full-fledged planet. So Pluto has an elliptical orbit. So sometimes it's even moving faster than Neptune. It comes inside of Neptune's orbit. So just be aware of that. That's a little odd there. Oh, my hair. Okay. So, and Pluto takes 246 years to get all the way around the solar system. So so you're not going to have a Pluto return, although the United States is having or just had, or I would say is still in its Pluto return. In fact, I'll just show you that so that you can see. So see, 1776 plus 246 is 2022. So if you've kind of been wondering what's going on with the United States, well, we're having our Pluto return. So you can imagine we're having to dig up all the old stuff and renew ourselves. Remember, Pluto, to me, probably one of the best symbols for Pluto is the phoenix. So we've got to hit the bottom and then come up as something new and beautiful. That's kind of what I think is going on with our country these days. So anyway, so Pluto is going to kind of do that same retrograde thing, similar as with Neptune and Uranus. So again, remember, Pluto is one of the outer planets, or we also call it the generational planet, because so many people are born with the same Pluto, and like I'm the Pluto and Leo generation. We all have our generations. But Pluto will go about 7 months out of the year direct, and then it will go retrograde about 5 months out of the year. So it spends about half the year retrograde, so just be aware of that. And that elliptical orbit, what that means is Pluto is only going to be in, like, for example, in Scorpio, that's when it's only going to spend 12 years in Scorpio. But the opposite of that, Taurus, it's going to spend 31 years in Taurus. So right now, Pluto is just finishing up with its time in Capricorn. So that's when it's going through that. The United States, Pluto is in Capricorn. So it's just making that transition. So it actually poked its head just a little bit into Aquarius during the spring of 2023, but now it's gone back into Capricorn. So it's going to do a little dance back and forth like like all the planets will do. It's just going to be very slow and take quite a bit of time to get fully into Aquarius. Now, some people have said that that's the beginning of the age of Aquarius, and some astrologers have been very clear that the age of Aquarius is not showing up for another like 140 years or so. But when you think about how we're talking about an age as a 2,000-year thing, we're going from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and ages go backwards, which is can be kind of weird, but that's the way it goes. So, but I still see that even though this may not be the real age of Aquarius, like some astrologers think, this is certainly going to give us a little sneak preview of what's going on for the age of Aquarius. So I think it's starting. And with how slow these things are, it's giving us a little warm up there. So anyway, so because of that elliptical orbit, the signs from about, Virgo to Capricorn in there. Like Pluto was only in Capricorn for about 14 years. So it can really slow down and speed up. So it's going really fast through those planets. And now it's going to start slowing down as it gets into Aquarius and heads off to Taurus, where it'll be the longest at 31 years. Okay. Now, Pluto is also going to do, you know, like I said, the retrograde. So first off, you want to do, looking at your own chart, is where is that Capricorn Aquarius cusp? Because that's where Pluto is right now. And what house is that in? What's being affected by Pluto? And keep an eye out for those retrogrades. And just like with Neptune, when Pluto's coming along, if this is natal Pluto and this is transiting Pluto, it can actually hit 5 times. So it can go direct 1, station direct 2 hits, station retrograde 2 hits, station direct 3 hits, station retrograde 4, station direct 5. So just watch out for that with Pluto. Like I said in the Neptune talk, I'll never forget, I'm sure it was a Pluto transit, and it was like, I had my 3 hits. I was like, oh, thank God, because Pluto transits can be fairly dramatic. And I thought I was all done, and then when I looked in the ephemeris, it was like, I got 2 more of these. Oh no, what's going on? Because really, a Pluto transit is sort of one of the things that made me a believer in astrology, because just when I very, very first started learning about astrology, Pluto was going over my 7th house cusp. So that's your partners, you know, marriage partners, that kind of thing. And this was also right around the beginning of my Saturn return too. And that's a real typical time for someone to get interested in astrology. And and during that time with Pluto going over that 7th house cusp, I dated 2 guys. The first guy, well, I didn't even really date them. I only went out on 1 date, and then, but I kind of liked him. And then he got MS. Oh my God, I don't even know. His family came in, and it was one of those really severe ones where it was like he just woke up one morning and he couldn't walk. It was really sad. And but that's Pluto for you. And his family came in and whisked him off, and I never really saw him again, to be quite honest. And then there was another guy a year or 2 later, but still, you know, Pluto takes a long time to get over that 7th house cusp. I dated actually this guy I'd had a crush on for quite a while, and finally he asked me out. We went out on 1 date, and then on the 2nd date, he told me he'd been diagnosed with colon cancer. Oh my God. And back in those days, you know, cancer treatments have, thank God, have come a long, long ways. But this was when you had, you know, when you had chemotherapy, you went in the hospital for a week because they were taking you to the brink of death. That's to kill the cancer so that you would live. So at that time, his ex-wife came in and took him off and took care of him. And then, you know, I really didn't know him that well. I'd only gone out on 1 date with him. But it made me a believer with Pluto going over my 7th house cusp. So just remember, you know, Pluto is very dramatic. And I always think of it also with a lot of the R words: regeneration, renewal, ruthless, you know, just to all sorts of those R words kind of represent Pluto. But really another big one is transformation. Pluto, you know, you've got to, that's what I think the Phoenix is probably one of the best symbols of Pluto and Scorpio, and it rules the 8th house, where you go down to almost you know, Pluto will clean you out, right? You will take everything from you. But then you come up and you're a whole new person. You know, you're on fire. You take on life, and after you've gone through that elimination, basically. So think of it as like a purging or an elimination of waste. Now, I've given you a pretty dramatic example. Some people, you know, won't go through nearly as dramatic examples as that, and some will go through worse. So just be aware of those Pluto transits. So you're gonna, when you have Pluto, especially affecting a personal planet, and that's the sun and moon up through Mars, it can be pretty devastating to you personally, right? And it's a very slow transit, so it's going to take 2 or 3 years to really, you know, coming and going through it and then getting over it. So, and you may not even be able to really process it until you really get, you know, until Pluto gets off at least a degree or 2 or 3 and is done with all of its retrogrades and all that kind of stuff. So just remember, if you feel like something is being pulled out of your hands with a Pluto transit, the best thing to do is just let it go, because Pluto is going to win every time. Okay, and of course, this is all for entertainment, right? But Pluto, okay, so Pluto does do the breakdown to something new can come out of it. You know, things like recycling are ruled by Pluto. Any kind of elimination from your body, from the earth, and sometimes that elimination can be kind of violent, and actually. So watch out for that. You know, if you feel like something's breaking down in your life, the best thing to do is just let it go. And finally, one last thing I want to say about Pluto, and this doesn't happen to everyone, but just watch out for like kind of criminal behavior, things like that. Like this one woman, I'll never forget when we were all studying astrology together, her Pluto story was she'd been dating this guy for a while, you know, not years, but maybe a couple of 2 or 3 months. And he said to her, "Hey, would it be okay if I stored some stuff in your garage?" And she said, "Sure, no problem." And so he started bringing things over here and there, and it was a lot of like TVs, and I think there were like dishwashers and a lot of appliances and stuff like that. And she finally figured out this was all stolen stuff. This guy was a thief, and he was storing this stolen stuff in her garage. So, you know, Pluto, this is the kind of thing that Pluto can bring out. So just be aware that Pluto can be a very cleansing experience. Okay, so I think that's enough for Pluto. Be sure to look at all these wonderful books I've been showing up in examples to help you through any Pluto transits. And just to let you know, this is kind of getting to the end of my astrology classes. And, you know, like I said, we're just, you know, I'm just doing not even the icing on the cake. I'm doing the sprinkles on the icing on the cake. As you can imagine, I could go through and talk about each one of these planets and, you know, their transits to each other planet, or, you know, whether it's a square or opposition or a trine. But my goal was that now hopefully you can sit down and listen to, you know, any of these wonderful astrologers that I've pointed out to you, like Rick Levine. He's a great astrologer on YouTube. Pam Gregory. And I love this gal, Denise Knight. This is her webpage, and she still does do readings. And this is her YouTube channel that you can sit down now, and when you see these, you know what they're talking about, and you've got a good idea. Now, I'm not finished with you yet, there's a few things that like the nodes of the moon. That's a real biggie in astrology. So that's what I'm going to do in the next class for sure. And there's a few other things out there that I just want to explain to you a little bit, because no matter what, if you've watched these videos, I want you to sound smart when you talk to people, no matter how much you just know the sprinkles on top of things. So thank you again so much, guys, for being here. And we'll see you next time, and we'll do the nodes and maybe a few other things, and we'll see. But thanks again, and I've just super enjoyed bringing these classes to you. So just remember, from there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere. And just keep your heart light, and you're going to be great. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.